After a scintillating first round of the new season at Las Vegas, the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series heads to the venerable Talladega Superspeedway. Last time out, it was Adam Zemke who took top honours and first blood, charging through the field from a 15th place start. Can he or another outside our usual winner's circle grab the win here, or will the likes of Bradley Holly, Thomas Sink or Patrick Cowgill pull through to make it business as usual? That's what we're here to find out, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Reese Gardner, and with me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Behind the scenes is our director, Gary Sexton, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, being one of the world epicenters of stock car racing, Talladega almost needs no introduction, but let's refresh our memories and head over to our track guide to see what we're dealing with.
Welcome to Talladega Superspeedway. Not satisfied with his incredible accomplishments with Daytona, Bill France Sr. plucked up a plot of land in Alabama east of Birmingham and had one goal: make it faster. At 2.66 miles and with 33 degrees of banking, he succeeded. Not only is the banking steeper and the lap longer than Daytona, but the track itself is wider as well. As you'd expect, this makes for one of the most unique styles of racing motorsports has ever seen. The slipstream allows drivers to stay with one another so easily that it becomes less about the speeds each driver can reach and more about the strategy of racing in a pack. Bump drafting is a technique in which the car behind actually pushes the car in front so that both are able to reach higher speeds. And side drafting is another in which the drivers use the air off the sides of their cars to slow their opponents down. Staying out of trouble is always a difficult aspect of superspeedway racing, and it's not uncommon to see drivers intentionally move to the back of the pack to avoid the chaos. In fact, the high speeds make large wrecks so hard to avoid that the term "the big one" has become commonplace to refer to the almost inevitable multi-car pileups the circuit is known for. Also, entering pit lane is its own skill, which requires practice in order to slow the car up as quickly and safely as possible. Keeping the car clean and in contention is the main goal for much of the event. Then the final few laps, it's a race to the line, with any alliances usually dissolving and the driver's urge to win taking over. Known for gobbling up cars and ruining a driver's good day in the blink of an eye, Talladega truly holds the title of the biggest and baddest track on the NASCAR circuit.
A truly brilliant circuit, and the drivers are already out there practicing, getting their final few runs in before qualifying and the green flag. Well, Chris, Talladega, it's obviously one of the most historic ovals in the world, and quite long, quite fast, very high banking.
That's right, Reese. This is a kind of I would like to call it a one-of-a-kind track, but of course Daytona race is pretty similar. But it's going to be a lot of on-throttle time, in fact, about 100% of the lap. And, of course, you have to master the draft here. You have to make friends and be in the right place at the right time. So look for this track to be a place for opportunities to arise and for heartbreak to happen for some of our playoff contenders. And hopefully no repeats of what we're seeing on the screen right now in practice.
Yeah, exactly. There is the ever-present threat of the big one here at Talladega Superspeedway. Let's take a moment to thank our sponsors. Our broadcast is brought to you by ASR, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills with modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration. You can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
And if that wasn't enough, today's event is also brought to you by SIMMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net.
And finally, the PRL NASCAR Truck Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Well, this being the second round of 2021 Season 4, it's probably a good idea to check out the lie of the land coming out of the first round. It is Adam Zemke on top of the standings after that brilliant win at Las Vegas, but the fight is on behind him. Very close points gaps here, with Matthew Long, Thomas Sink, Bradley Holly, and Charles Sumner rounding out the top 5. There's certainly potential here for the likes of Sink and Holly to get a leg up on everyone else here.
That is for sure, Reese. And our team's championship also heating up right now in the second round of the 4th season. Car Ramrod up front, but that Whataback Overdrive Racing team hot on their heels with another team from the Whataback squad, Back Row Racing, right behind him, and then them, I should say. And then a tie for 4th between Car Motorsports and yet another Whataback team, the Next Level Racing squad, on equal footing for 4th position.
Seems that back row racing team is anywhere apart from the back row at this stage. And of course, this is the race details. They get 4 tire sets, no spare truck, a fixed setup, and 24 incident limit. So the drivers have to race cleanly out there. A 55-lap race length in these trucks. Fuel is not going to be an issue, we gather, but definitely tires are critical in these truck races. The pace drop-off can be massive. It might be a little bit less than at other tracks here at Talladega, given the fact that the track is just so long and fast and the turns are so gentle, but the drivers will still have to be watching out for their tyre performance as they drop off, and if they get a little bit wrong in the draft, Chris, then that's going to spell doom for everyone around them.
That's right. The last thing you want to do is have to get hard on the brakes, maybe heading into a pit or avoiding an incident and flat spot those tires and really ruin your day there. As we see Patrick Cowgill on screen with just a couple minutes left in qualifying, Reese. Looks like Matthew Long looking to back up a strong performance from last week as he sits on top of the charts.
Yeah, it does indeed, but there goes Patrick Cowgill up to second place. He's going to be happy with that run. The gap only 0.026. In fact, the top 5 covered by less than a tenth of a second at this stage in qualifying. The performance differences here at Talladega are so minute. You can get a good run on a hot lap, and at the end of the day you might only gain 100th, maybe even a few thousandths. That's how important it is to get the momentum right at the start of your run, and certainly seems that there's a few more drivers that have done a bit better. Looks like Josh Conker and James Dewar tied on qualifying times.
That's right, and you'll see a severe drop-off between what was our practice times and our qualifying times. These are single truck qualifying laps, so you're on the track by yourself. So without the benefit of the draft, these guys are going 5, almost 6 seconds slower than what they did in practice with the availability of the draft.
Indeed, and certainly a lot of drivers showing that they've got what it takes to compete up the top here. Seeing a couple more changes in the order, but it seems with 30 seconds to go, the field is roughly set. Adam Schoen, I noticed, going to 18th, Abner Acosta to P26, and Abner Acosta, he won a couple of rounds last season, so probably not the best qualifying position for him to start in here at Talladega, but he'll be looking to work his way up to the front just by playing the game in the draft. And with only 10 seconds to go here, Chris, playing the draft game, incredibly important here. You don't want to be just going for passes at every opportunity.
That's right. And in qualifying, we'll see a lot of these drivers either take slow laps or not take a time just so they have the benefit of starting at the back and hopefully avoiding an incident once the race gets underway.
Well, let's take a look at how they're going to run off the line here at Talladega in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. The first row is Matthew Long and Doug Evans. Only 200ths between them there as Josh Conker and James Dewar round out the second row. Fifth and sixth, Charles Sumner and Joshua Daniels. Patrick Cowgill starts out a seventh alongside Clayton Curry. Then it's the number 9 of Doyle Lawrence starting out of ninth alongside the previous round's winner, Adam Zemke. Still starting in 10th, he's got potential for a good result here.
Starting just outside of the top 10 is Jose Medina with Joao Guara outside of him. Ryan Traver and Mark Kalin are going to compose row number 7 with Jim Westerfield and Nicholas Hunter in the row behind. Baron Hilton starts 17th with Patrick Karen in 18th. Then Adam Shane and CM Pennington are going to complete the top 20 starters.
Row 11, Dalton Gaia and Rob Nella starting out of 21st and 22nd. Then it's Danik Momi and William Krushka, 23rd and 24th. Tom Emasi and Danny Cervantes start alongside each other. Behind them we got Montgomery and Acosta with Richard Thomas and Bradley Holly rounding out the top 30. And Bradley Holly, another one of those drivers that will be looking to set some good times in the race, work his way forward. The rest of the field rounded out by Colton Lane, Rob Haynes, Miguel Angel Cardozo, Thomas Sink, Austin Hunter and Eric Hauk. And everyone from Bradley Holly on back did not set a qualifying time, so that tells us quite a few things, Chris, about how they're going to approach this race. They're just looking to hang at the back and take advantage of others falling down in front of them.
That's right. A lot of these drivers have different agendas on how they want to take this race. Many will hang back in the early stages and make a late charge. Some will try to get to the front as quick as possible, and a lot of them will just get shuffled in the middle and almost have no control over what's going on.
Yeah, well, it was Mario Andretti that said if everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough, and you certainly go more than fast enough here at Talladega. In these trucks, it's over 300 kilometers an hour that you reach around here. Of course, I am from Australia, so I'm using those metric measurements, but I'm sure that everyone's got their imperial conversions ready to go here. But the formation lap here, everyone forming up in their two lines. It's all going to be about the start here for Matthew Long. He needs to get a good jump, but of course, he can't afford to be too far ahead because he's just punching a hole in the air for everyone else to go through.
That's right. With the engine formula they have for these trucks, it takes a couple laps for them to really get up to speed. So being in the most advantageous position here on the opening lap is really going to be a big deal and set you up for the length of this opening green flag run.
That's Bradley Holly down there on the bottom right of your screen. The concentration face is on, preparing for this start right in the field. A lot of our regular winning contenders here in the Precision Racing League. They'll be coming up to pit entry very soon, but the drivers are going to have to maintain pace for quite a while to come. Talladega, unique among its type of oval in that the start-finish line is not in the tri-oval. It's actually a little bit past it. The pace car comes in, and now it's going to be up to Matthew Long to control the start from here. Doug Evans drawing level with him in the number 41. About to get the green flag here at Talladega Superspeedway, round 2 of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. And we are almost away. Matthew Long just leaving it very short. And the green flag flies. We are away. It's a nice even start from our top 2. It seems that Doug Evans getting the jump on everyone else in the top line of cars. Already pressuring the back of Matthew Long, Josh Conker pushing him past, and oh goodness, poor Doug Evans, he's stuck up there on his own, falling back. He's going to have to slot in behind the top 3 here. Your running order, Matthew Long, Josh Conker, and Charles Sumner, the top 3 as things stand.
We talk about the draft. That was a great example of what can go wrong when you get out too far ahead of the rest of the field. Doug Evans had probably the best start of anybody in that outside line. And Reese, unfortunately, was like he had an anchor tied to the back of his truck, and he dropped fast.
Certainly did, but everyone's settling into a rhythm now here as they come to the end of the first lap. Let's see what the outside line can do here, because looks like the inside line is looking very good at the moment. bumping and drafting across the line, and the drivers just touching 297 kilometers an hour. Fantastic stuff. It looks to me like not many big moves being made as of yet, and that's understandable. On a racetrack such as Talladega, you want to keep yourself in with a chance to be there at the end, and making a wrong move in the draft like this certainly not going to benefit you, as it looks like the outside line getting a bit of a run there out of turn 2. James Dewar up there on the outside line. At a place like this, you got cars all around you and you're driving so incredibly quickly. Patrick Cowgill, well, he's made up quite a few positions from where he started, actually losing a position from where he started, my apologies, but keeping himself in with a shot here, as long as he stays with this front group throughout the inevitable cautions and pit stops, he's going to have a good chance here. Running that triple screen setup, he'll have a pretty good view there of the number 82 getting a good run. Clayton Curry just pressuring the top of the line. It seems that the inside line coming back through the turns, but we still have to keep an eye out there for James Dewar leading the charge. He's getting a good push there from Joshua Daniels and Clayton Curry. For the time being, it seems this is the rhythm the race has settled into.
That's right. We'll see that here typically during these super speedway events. The drivers in the early running will kind of calm it down a little bit and just try to make it to the end. We'll definitely see the intensity pick up once we get in the latter stages of this race. But right now, a lot of this is going to be a feeling out process and kind of getting the lay of the land for how you can expect this race to flow.
Unless there's a huge incident in the next 20-something laps, the drivers might have to contend with the possibility of green flag pit stops. And, well, considering that this track is pretty much flat out the whole way round, and brake bias is one of the only things you can really adjust on these things with the fixed setup, brake bias won't matter that much unless you're coming in for that green flag pit stop. You need brake bias nice and far forward to keep the car nice and stable. But the drivers won't be worrying about that just yet. We're going to have to wait another 10 laps or so if we continue running in these green flag conditions. But Talladega, being as long as it is, Chris, you don't stand as much of a chance of going a lap down with a green flag stop, but it's certainly still possible.
That's right. And another big part of that is being able to pit with another truck. If you are pitting by yourself, you're basically going to be a sitting duck once you get back out onto the track. You want at least one or two other friends to pit with you. So once you are on the way out, you have somebody to draft with and help build up that speed, because otherwise the field comes around really quick and you can be several miles per hour slower than those that are already up to speed and running in a group.
Yeah, that's the big issue. So depending on how hard these guys are working their tires, I could certainly introduce some shuffling in the order. It does seem that that outside line has less and less people committing to it lap on lap. They are in the minority at the moment. The vast majority of our field, about 2/3 of our drivers, down on the bottom line at the moment and getting very squirrely. Matthew Long on the exit of turn 2 had a little bit of a moment, and that's allowed James Dewar to get back into the lead as they come into turns 3 and 4. But of course, the inside line, a little bit less distance to cover, so that is exactly how you see it turn out. Coming around to start lap 8 now, and Matthew Long, he seems pretty calm there in the lead. He's just running to a number at the moment, I reckon. He knows that he's got everyone behind him, and he trusts that the people behind him will back out if there is a problem. And trust is a huge part of racing at super speedways, isn't it?
That's for sure. And Matthew Long, really, this is the approach that I like to take in this style of racing, is get out in front. And it's hard for anything to happen to you when everything's happening behind you.
Yeah, exactly. If there is a big one, Matthew Long won't have to worry too much about much of anything, apart from having to set up a pit stop under caution. Seeing, there was potential for a bit of side-by-side. Patrick Caron and Joao Guerra. Looks like Guerra getting a very good run through the tri-oval here. big draft that he's taken advantage of, not going for any moves at the moment, but who knows, we might see a breakaway third line start happening pretty soon if people start getting impatient.
That's right. That is pretty unusual for this group, Reese. A lot of these guys will, well, they're known for being patient. We've had a slew of super speedway events that have gone caution-free or only had 1 or 2 cautions. So it's a bit unusual for these guys to get aggressive here on these tracks this early, but it is the playoff season. It's the end of the year, wrapping up the 4th championship, and it's early in this 4th season of the year, so there's a lot of chance to make your mark in the championship, and some of these drivers may be a little itchy to take advantage.
Have a look at that brief run that Patrick Caron got out of turn 4 through the tri-oval. The track widens up a bit there through the tri-oval, which allows a little bit more space if there's an incident down there, but narrows up to 3 lanes as you come through the turns of this oval. You see Patrick Cowgill down there just monitoring how things are going from his position. Things are starting to get a little bit more dicey here in the midfield. That top line, wow, fantastic run at the front of it from James Dewar, getting pushed by Joshua Daniels. Seems that if these guys are going to have to start thinking about green flag pit stops, they won't want to be 2x2. It's going to be very difficult to slow them down for the pit lane at this stage.
Now those 2 trucks leading the outside line, I'm a little baffled by the way they're running. It seems like they get a run and push out ahead just a little bit, and it's almost like they're throwing the brake or something, like they don't want to be out in front.
Yeah, I think that is understandable. I mean, if they're running like they are now, you see pretty much alongside and a little bit behind our race leader, they will be getting a bit of side draft from the line of cars below them, and that will certainly help them get a good turn of speed. But yeah, if you're out in front, then you're the one punching the hole in the air, as we pointed out before. Maybe a little bit more fuel usage. Of course, they should make it to the end on fuel, but you don't want to use any more than is necessary.
That is very true, especially on these super speedway tracks when fuel mileage can play a role. If you're the driver at the front of the line, you're the one punching the hole in the air. And because of that, just that little bit of extra friction trying to push through the air, you're using up more fuel than those that are following in your wake.
Exactly right. Austin Hunter. Well, we're able to tell very easily who that is down in the bottom right, riding on board with him on the top line. And you'll be able to see how the speed comes back to the bottom line here through the turns. Was gaining a bit, but you'll see them maybe start to level out just before they get to the straight section towards the tri-oval.
Now, one thing that blows my mind about this group of drivers, Reese, is with our onboard cameras, we'll see people like Austin Hunter and Patrick Cowgill who look so relaxed out there doing this driving. I don't know about you, but whenever I do a super speedway race, I'm like white-knuckled on the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's exactly how I feel as well. You know, if I'm in a situation like this, you know, in the midfield of a huge pack of cars around Talladega, I'm just hoping and praying that I don't make a mistake and I make sure I lift out in time before I make contact with the rear bumper of the car in front of me. Of course, these drivers will be thinking about that, but as you said before, they are very calm, very controlled, very safe racers here in the Precision Racing League. Oh, just as I say that, Matthew Long got a little tap from Josh Conker up the front of the field and nearly got sent sideways. But they gained the momentum back up at the front of the field and will be leading the way into the turns once again. James Dewar, he can't do much at the moment to slot in on the bottom line here. There's just no space. These cars running so close together right now.
Yeah, Josh Conker in that 54, he is a former series champion, but he is still looking for a victory. It's been tough to come by, so I know Josh is itching to get to victory lane, and so far has been content to run in the support role to Matthew Long, but only wonder how long it's going to be before he decides to make a move.
Yeah, well, as we start getting to the start of the 15th lap, the tyres might be starting to drop off at this point. The drivers will be looking to jump into the pits, get some fresh rubber on there. I'm unsure exactly what the pace drop-off is here at Talladega, but it's certainly got to be of some value, as these drivers will have to pit, I think, at least once during this race. And if you stay out on tyres by the lap 55 mark, I mean, I think I'd have to give you some props, because it'd be very hard to keep straight, even on a track like this.
Yeah, that's a very fair point as well.
Well then, towards the tri-oval for the 15th time here of 55, 40 laps to go here at Talladega. And who will come away with the top honours here? Right now, it's looking like Matthew Long is the one with the advantage, but when the pit cycle comes around, he'll have to nail his stop. Otherwise, he's going to lose quite a bit of time, and he might find himself mired back in the pack. James Dewar might be thinking about an advantage coming into the pits as well. Try and jump ahead as the push happens again from Josh Conker on Matthew Long. They gain a bit more momentum here on the outside line, which before we saw was getting a big advantage out of the turns. But Chris, it doesn't seem that's the case anymore. The inside line is coming back to the fore.
That is very true so far. It looks like that inside line is really stepping up here. Maybe the outside is taking it a little easier here as we get further into this race. But right now that inside line is looking awfully fast. And of course, as I say that, the outside gets a huge head of steam.
Yeah, they do. And again, I see the truck of Mark Kalin poking his nose out through the tri-oval. Maybe looking for a move. We'll have to wait and see. But have a look at the outside line now. They've gotten a bit of an advantage back out of that turn. And back into the lead goes James Dewar. Will he slot down in front? Doesn't look like he will. He seems pretty comfortable up there on the top. It doesn't seem like there's much of an advantage to be gained by slipping down to the inside. It seems that the two lines are pretty much even at this stage. We'll see what happens after the pits come around, though.
That's right. The pits can definitely be a game changer for these guys. Could be anything from a great stop gets you an advantage, or a mistake puts you far behind. And the pit stops are definitely going to be where this race really sorts itself out and gets us set up for the final run.
The outside line disadvantaged out of turn 2, but they might be able to come back. Coming into the tri-oval out of turns 4. But you see that it's still the case that about 2/3 of the field is sticking there to the inside line. They don't want to change their strategy very much at this stage. No takers for the pits. You'd want to try and leave it as long as possible here under green flag conditions. If you decide to pit early, well, I mean, you could certainly gain an advantage if there's a caution right after you pitted, but as it stands, pitting now, probably not the best of ideas.
No, I think at this point it may be a little bit premature.
Yeah, I reckon if you wanted to have the best car possible for the end of the race, you'd probably want to wait until about past half race distance, and you'll have a bit more fresh rubber on the end. Of course, if there is another caution after that, then you'll be able to bang some fresh rubber onto the car, and you'll have a nice quick machine in the dying stages. To the outside line, with that big push once more, James Dewar, he's definitely not going to go for the inside at this stage, but I tell you what, it would be tempting if he is a full car length ahead of Matthew Long. Unfortunately, he's just not able to get that advantage. It seems that Joshua Daniels backing out from pushing him as they come into the turns, which is understandable. You don't want to be making bumper-to-bumper contact through the corners here, even though they are very fast and flat out.
But one interesting note there, James Dewar did officially lead that last lap, and there is a bonus point available for leading a lap here in the Precision Racing League.
Oh, there we go. He moves down.
Well, looks like Mr. Dewar there wants to lead some of these laps, and looks like that's going to be the case now as he parks himself in front of Matthew Long. A pretty big change from how this one's gone early, and Matthew Long. Oh no, he's going to get hung out to dry in the middle.
Oh dear, has to slot him behind, and it looks like we've got a couple of trucks in the wall just behind, and looks like that was Rob Haynes and Rob Neller, who managed to get into the wall there, but we stay green. No big crashes so far. James Dewar has moved back up to the high line, and he maintains the lead here over Matthew Long. We'll get a quick replay here of that incident further back in the field, focusing on the 55. Let's see what happened here in turns 1 and 2, and this could very easily have been much worse than it was, Chris.
That's right. The field kind of scattered when the 55 went up the middle, and had a bit of a tank slapper there for a couple drivers after some contact was made, and ended up slamming into the wall. But like you said, luckily we keep it pointed the right direction and we stay green.
Well, advantage bottom line once again. They're now 2 full cars ahead of the top line. Matthew Long from Josh Conker. So, interesting that we saw that move from James Dewar just before. Moving down to the bottom and then, unfortunately, having to pass down the middle between the 2 lines. Fortunately, he was able to find his way back into a rhythm, but you know, I think he took a very big risk there. It didn't pay off, but he managed to recover.
Yeah, he's very fortunate to have ended up where he did, Reese. A lot of times you make a move like that, and you kind of get abandoned in the middle lane there, and you drop all the way to the back. He was really lucky to be able to get back up in front of the 77 and still maintain his position, because he very easily could have found himself at the back of the field.
See the fastest lap there from Bradley Holly. Bradley's running down in 29th place at the moment, and you can see he's got quite the nice bit of space in front of him. He can take full advantage of the draft thanks to that, but of course he is down in the field at the moment. I think he's just waiting for the pit cycle to come around, see what everyone around him is doing. Maybe he's going to be the first one to blink and rocket towards the front of the field, but we'll have to wait and see. Goodness me, just in front of him there was almost an incident, but big moves side to side aside, we continue, and we'll be coming up to half race distance pretty shortly, which means the tyres are definitely near the end of their operating life at this point.
That's another good point, Reese. These guys are definitely going to want to get some fresh rubber on there pretty soon.
Well, it seems that there's not much disadvantage to the top line here down the back stretch. Who decides to blink first? Who decides to come in for the first round of pit stops here? Well, our previous round winner, Adam Zemke, is running okay in 8th place. He's doing all right there in the number 57. If something happens in front of him, he can certainly take advantage and go for double victories to start off the season, which would be fantastic for him. But it seems that everyone on the same level here in Super Speedway Racing is down to the bottom goes James Dewar once again, covering off the advances of the bottom line. What kind of tactics is he trying to pull here? Is he preparing to come into the pits? Either way, Matthew Long staring at the back of a very bright blue truck there, as it seems the outside line drawing level again. This time it's Joshua Daniels leading the charge.
Yeah, it almost seems like Matthew Long takes it personally when Dewar tries to get around him to take the lead, but this time they played a little bit nicer than last time, and looks like we're gonna settle in here with the 55 out in front for a minute.
all level across the line, and goodness me, Dewar did lead that lap, but only by 0.012 of a second. Very hotly contested in the PRL Truck Series. But the high line falling back quite a bit, and it seems there's less and less drivers lap by lap committing to that outside line. Does seem the majority of drivers prefer the inside at the moment. There's not as much rubber, obviously, up there on the high line. You got to deal with marbles potentially as well if you go a bit too high, which can certainly play havoc when the tyres are at this stage of their life. There's going to be James Dewar leading the way again as we have our first takers for green flag pit stops, and a big amount of cars making their way in as one of them, whoa, goodness me, Jose Medina. He's brought out the caution.
Well, that's going to be a game changer for sure. I see the 24 truck down there in the grass as well.
Yeah, that's Jose Medina, and goodness me, that was almost a horrific incident. He went to slow down for the pits, but it seems on the downshift maybe just locked the rears, and you'll see him spear back onto the track here. Whoa, and oh dear, a little bit of contact as well, but fortunately nothing that spins anybody out. Who was that? That was Richard Thomas, who very narrowly missed cleaning up Jose Medina.
That definitely had the potential to be a lot worse than it was.
That it did. We get another view of it here as everyone's just under caution, and we can expect the rest of our field to make their way into the pits from here. This is the view. How close do you want to get?
Yeah, that'll make you flinch for sure. Now this is going to be a bit of a game changer with the way this came out, Reese, and that was a perfect example of what you talked about with the brake bias. Just the 24 truck not able to get that dialed in, locks her up, and almost has a pretty big wreck there. But our first caution of the day, and I think we'll see this change things up a bit.
Yeah, certainly will. We see the majority of our field now coming into the pits, single file. Dewar, Long, Daniels, Curry, Conker, Sumner, Zemke, Caron, Guerra. Everybody's in. And our pitters are starting to come up to the back of the line here. I see Rob Haynes making his way up to the back of the field here. This will certainly shake up the order. So, let's see then who gets the best stop out of anyone. Oh no! Big overshoot of the pit stop there from James Dewar. He overshot it by almost a car length. That's going to cost him a massive amount of time. That'll probably put him outside the top 10.
Josh Conker had a bit of an overshot as well, not as egregiously, but it's definitely going to cost him some time as well.
Well, there we go. James Dewar comes out in 11th place. So, not too far off my prediction, but he'll certainly have a chance towards the end of this race. Being far back in the pack, it is Mark Kalin who leads the way now out of the pit stops. Patrick Cowgill in second, with Colton Lane in third. Top five rounded out by Doyle Lawrence and Eric Hauk. Everyone now on fresh rubber. And they were able to make it 26 laps before green flag pit stop there. So that, I think, shows that they can make it to the end on another set of tyres if they play their cards right, if they take it nice and easy. But I would say if there's another caution that comes out in around the lap 40-ish area, then we'll definitely see them in again.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think if this stays green, we're definitely going to all stay out on the track. But if we get a caution around that time period, I would not be surprised to see the majority of the field hit pit road.
Yeah, and if anyone decides to stay out in that caution, well, they're a braver man than any of us here at GSRC. So the lights are still on the pace car. We're going to be waiting a little bit here before we get off to a restart. At least one more lap here as we see drivers making their way back out onto the circuit, maybe just coming in for an extra stop, a few of these guys, because I mean, if you're back down in the field, then there's obviously quite a bit of sense to just pulling into the pits a couple more times under caution, making sure that you have the freshest rubber possible. If fuel was a factor, we'd be seeing drivers topping up the tank as well.
That's right. And, this place has been known for some funky finishes. Over the years, it's been the legend that this track was built on top of an ancient Native American burial ground. And
Yes.
that could play a role here. I'm not sure if ancient curses translate over to the virtual world, but, there's always the potential for something crazy to happen here at Talladega.
Well, if movies like Unfriended and Host are anything to go by, the supernatural can certainly make its way into the digital world. But it seems that the fates have smiled on the likes of Mark Kalin and Patrick Cowgill up at the front of the field. They're going to have the best advantage of anyone coming towards the end of this caution period. Lights are out on the pace car, and we will be getting a restart very soon. So this is going to be Mark Kalin's first leading restart of the race. In fact, the first restart full stop of the race. What's his strategy going to be from here when he puts the power down?
Well, with the way things have shaken out with the pit stops, I think it's going to be in Kalen's best interest to hunker down in that lead and do everything in his power to make sure he stays up there. My favorite place to be on a super speedway is starting right there in first spot. And if he can dictate the pace here over the majority of this run, he can leave himself in a position to definitely be there in the conversation once the checkered flag flies.
Well, up from 14th was Mark Kalin. It's been a pretty good run from a lot of drivers here. The biggest mover in the field so far is Colton Lane, thanks to being one of the drivers taking that pit stop under green and certainly being saved by the caution coming out as they were coming into the pits. He's managed to gain 28 positions, running third after starting way further down, outside the top 30 indeed, in fact. Well, the pace car is in and we're about to get a restart here. Mark Kalin in the purple machine. Purple on my end anyway, orange and black in the sim. What will the number 62 do here? Well, the green flag inevitably flies here at Talladega for the second time tonight. Green flag out and we are racing. Again, it's a nice even start, but have a look at Matthew Long. He's managed to keep himself in contention here at the front of the field and already starting to make some moves towards pushing Patrick Cowgill ahead.
On these super speedways, it's almost more important how the second row restarts versus the first row. And the 99 of Matthew Long. Oh, that was a bold move by Patrick Cowgill. But it's almost It's almost more important for the second row's restart because they are going to determine who gets the push and who gets out ahead. Patrick Cowgill is your leader right now, largely in part because of the great restart that Matthew Long got right behind him.
Oh, almost a bit of a lone ranger there was Josh Conker, but he moved ahead of James Dewar. A little bit of bumper-to-bumper contact. And Matthew Long starting to move ahead of Cowgill now on the outside line. There is Cowgill. His view is of a nice clear track ahead, but if keep an eye on his right monitor, you might see Matthew Long creeping up on the straights. Of course, the elevation of the banking gives drivers on the outside line a bit of a better run down the straight. There we go, and you just see him there. So, ahead by half a car length on Patrick Cowgill when they come into turn 3. Everyone on fresh tyres, so they're pushing as hard as they possibly can.
At this point, when you're the leader, you got to think your eyes are more on your mirrors than what's in front of you. Everyone a little bit of a juke there as Cowgill went a little bit below the yellow line. And that little hiccup has now allowed the 99 to pull back ahead.
Oh, 3 wide. Oh, Matthew Long again there in the middle. He's getting absolutely swamped by everybody, and the outside line has fallen out of contention. Joshua Daniels and Jim Westerfield are a third group there up at the top. but they are not having any advantage at all. Matthew Long pulls back out here. Look at the run he's got down the back stretch. He's going to go for the lead here once again, getting pushed by Josh Conker once more. Will they move down to the very bottom? Yes, they will. Working as a team, those two. They've put Patrick Cowgill behind, and he still has to deal with the 3 wide behind.
That was definitely a powerful tandem we saw there, breaking out to the lead with Matthew Long and Josh Conker. That was a aggressive, powerful move here as we get into the latter stages of this race.
Well, now we've got 3 groups. Can't see them from this onboard from Patrick Cowgill, but my goodness, it's looking very squirrely out there. Look at that. This is very intense with, looks like 6 cars there up at the very top. Big amount of the field in the middle and the majority down on the bottom. It was an ever so slight mistake for Clayton Montgomery. You see him there just falling behind everyone else, but we stay green. No big incidents to speak of so far, but with this 3 wide, there's certainly potential for it. Mark Kalin, who led the restart, he's stuck there in the middle, and I think if he wants to try and work his way back up, he's going to have to go down to the bottom because he's getting no help at all.
That's right. You think it's tough racing 2 wide on a super speedway. Once these guys get 3 wide like they are right now, the margin of error is minuscule. Just one little mistake, one little flinch, and next thing you know, half the field's caught up in a wreck.
Yeah, I'm looking throughout this group of drivers, just seeing them ebb and flow a bit closer, a bit further away from each other. And you're only inches away from the big one, but have a look at the run here from both the middle and the top. Looks like Mark Kalin getting pushed back into the lead. He is getting help now, and Matthew Long will ever so briefly fall behind. Riding on board with James Dewar, he's coming right up to all of this. And who's he getting pushed by? That's Joshua Daniels right behind him. Look at the momentum that they carry through the tri-oval. And almost moving down slightly there. We've got a truck that's slightly out of line in the form of Joao Guerra. But for the most part, he is staying there with everyone on the middle. But oh my goodness. Ever so slight tap there for Joshua Daniels, was almost sent up into the wall. Now Guerra's going to get the run again here in the middle. It is still Mark Kalin who leads the way from Abner Acosta and Matthew Long, your top 3. And where did Abner Acosta come from? He certainly worked his way up really well on this restart.
Yeah, Abner was one of those drivers that started towards the back, probably by design. But we're getting close to the time when the pay window opens up, Reese, and Acosta is here to try to collect. Now, Joao Guerra in that 519 truck you see there in the middle, he had a disastrous race 1 week ago at Las Vegas. Seems like he made contact with just about everything there was to make contact with. If there was a caution, he was involved one way or the other. He is rebounding tremendously here today. He is right up there in the mix and has potential to come away with a very solid finish.
Yes, well, let's not put the commentator's curse on him just yet. We still have quite a ways to go in this race, and he's right in the middle of that 3 wide pack. It's certainly showing his nerves of steel racing in that pack. Looks to me like Abner Acosta moving up to the middle line now, and that's giving a bit of an extra draft from Josh Conker to the back of Joao Guerra, so he gets a slight advantage over James Dewar up there in the blue truck on the high side. But, oh, goodness me, 4 wide. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's Danny Cervantes trying to stick his nose in there, and oh my goodness, does he hold on to it? Oh, he recovers, but gets into Colton Lane on the bottom. They all go down to the apron, and that is just about the big one. We have a caution here at Talladega. The latter half of the field pretty much wiped out.
That was a big moment. You definitely saw it coming there with the problems for Cervantes. And unfortunately, a lot of trucks collected in that one.
Oh, man. And that was all started when they went 4 wide through the tri-oval. Colton Lane was just minding his own business, really. Didn't have anywhere to go, as there was that slight contact when Danny Cervantes tried to move up in front of Joao Guerra, unfortunately, had not cleared the number 519, but we see some drivers coming into the pits here. CM Pennington and Danik Momi making their way into the pits, I think partially to repair damage. Here is the replay then. And this is how it all went down, Chris. It was all started when there was just a little bit of quarter contact between Cervantes and Guerra.
Yep, you can see that U.S. Postal Service truck there towards the middle of your screen, and tried to come down in front of Guerra. Unfortunately, was not clear, collected the 60 of Colton Lane, and then everybody else in response checking up, getting caught up, and turning into a bit of a parking lot over there in turn number 1.
Here's the onboard. We'll see it all happen from here. And that's the view. You see quite a few cars kicking up smoke, kicking their wheels up into the air. So that leaves pretty much half the field still running. And remember that you don't get a fast repair. You don't get a spare truck. So that's more than a few races ruined there, I'd say.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the damage on those trucks, you're going to have to ride it out, or you're going to have to take the time to get it repaired. And for some of these trucks, that's going to be a pretty extensive repair time. As you can see them all piling into the wall there. Just definitely going to be totaling some virtual sheet metal today.
Yeah, but you see that group of drivers on screen doing very well to back out of it and not go for the old Arca brakes strategy. Certainly the best idea to back off if there's an incident happening in front of you, preserves your race and makes the race a little less horrible for the people who've just crashed in front of you. Either way, under caution, should be at least one more lap behind the iRacing pace car, and it is Mark Kalin who continues to lead the way here. Abner Acosta, Matthew Long, Patrick Cowgill and Josh Conker, your top 5 as things stand. Now, do these guys come into the pits this time by, or do they wait? Do they hang it out on this current set of tires?
Now, you said if it happened around 40 laps, you expected to see them head pit side. We're at lap 39 right now, so we'll see how true that prophecy may be. As looks like we're not going to have any takers as of yet. Oh, that's actually the wrong cone. Sorry, it's my first day.
All good, all good. It's it can be a bit misleading depending on where you're looking around the track. The amount of tarmac that's on most oval circuits today, of course, very good that it's like that in the interests of safety. We don't want grass on the back stretch kicking up cars and making incidents worse than they need to be. And of course, in real life, it's also a question of safety as well. So, do they come into the pits here? Our leading pack, Mark Kalin, will be the one who decides for everyone behind him. If he stays out, they'll come in, I would imagine.
That's true. You are definitely a sitting duck in that position.
Yeah, you are, but it doesn't look like anyone's going for the pits this time. I do see James Dewar getting down below the line, but I think they're just forming up double file for the restart at this stage. So it seems that no takers for the pits. If there is another caution when we go back green, I would expect them all to make their way in.
And the lights go out that time, so this will be our last lap under caution. We're going to be green next time by.
So it's going to be up to Mark Kalin once again here to dictate the restart. But Abner Acosta, very experienced in these trucks, very fast as well. He'll know exactly what to do on the restart here. It seems that the restarts have been very even with the top versus the bottom line. It really all comes down to where they'll be when the white flag flies. That's when things are going to really start to get testy. Because for the majority of a super speedway race, excuse me, you do want to hang back behind everyone. Just try and preserve your race. As we say down in Australia, it's buying a ticket to the end.
Well, we can hear over the chat a couple drivers talking strategy, looking to make a move here during this next run. Doyle Lawrence was one of them, asking his teammates if they're ready to make a run to the front. So we'll see how that works out for Lawrence, restarting in the 9th position in truck number 9.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on Doyle Lawrence and his compatriots as we gear up for this restart. It will be 15 laps to go here at Talladega Superspeedway when the green flag flies. So with these guys on used tyres, we have drivers such as Ryan Traver, Thomas Sink, Charles Sumner, William Krushka, Adam Zemke, Nicholas Hunter, Colton Lane, Richard Thomas, Patrick Caron and Danik Momi on their third set of tyres for this race. Caron and Momi are off the lead lap. Everyone down to position 31, still in contention for positions here. So the restart comes around. Tri-oval time. When does Mark Kalin decide to put the power down? The green flag flies, and we are away. They went pretty much on the green flag, so they draw level across the start-finish line. It wasn't the best of starts there for Kalin. It looks like the outside line actually getting the advantage that time around, but Abner Acosta not far up enough to slot down ahead of Kalin. And for the time being, I'm noticing a nice bit of space for James Dewar, which he'll draft into. We'll see if he can have another run at the lead from here.
Definitely seems like Mark Kalin has lucked out after this start kind of shakes out. But he's got the 99 truck of Matthew Long right behind him. And Long has shown some aggressiveness earlier on in this race. And I imagine with about 15 laps left, Reese, that 99 truck probably isn't going to be calming down anytime soon.
Yeah, well, remember Matthew Long is our pole sitter, so he'll want nothing more than to get back up to the front. But seems that Abner Acosta, with that push from Patrick Cowgill, getting towards the front of the field here, and Cowgill getting a little bit leery behind him. They got to take care. Still plenty of this race to go. Doesn't seem like much, 15 laps, especially around a track that's sub 1 minute like Talladega. But I tell you, from the driver's seat, everything moving in pretty much slow motion. So it seems that Kalin's looking pretty comfortable there in the lead. And it's been the same story for all of our leaders here, but all Long going for it in the tri-oval, makes it 3 wide, gets the momentum on Mark Kalin and draws up alongside Abner Acosta. Kalin's all on his own here. He's going to have to get some help, and he gets it in the form of Joshua Daniels, who starts to bump draft him, but then down to the middle line go Patrick Cowgill, and then Abner Acosta all the way down to the bottom line. Now we're starting to see big moves being made, cars together, and that might just be another caution here. There it is. Got plenty of trucks there on the apron. Damage for Dalton Geyer, Adam Zemke, William Krushka, and going straight back to the pits, Shuayo Guerra, as he flipped over in the midst of all of that. So it's another horror round for Shuayo Guerra.
Yeah, apparently the commentator's curse is going to hold true for Zhao, so I guess I must owe him an apology, because I was the one talking up how great he was doing today.
It's a big shame, and my goodness, I've just reviewed the incident for Joao Guerra, and it is quite spectacular. Guerra came together with Clayton Curry. That's what started the incident. We'll get it on the replay here. But, wow, Joao Guerra, he pretty much came to a dead stop. Watch this. And gets stopped by the wall. And with anyone out on the outside line, they had no choice but to collect him. So the number 82 might be feeling a little bit sheepish after that.
Yeah, we're getting another look at it here as they head off into turn number 1. 3 wide This is what got us in trouble last time and seems to have exacerbated the incident there as Guara and Curry make contact. And then just a dead stop as he gets hung up in the wall there.
Yeah, it's a real shame, and that, I think, would have pretty much destroyed the car. I'm sorry for mislabeling. I didn't mean the 89. I meant the number 82 involved in that. Here's the onboard from Joao Guerra, minding his own business, and then bam! That's certainly not what you expect as a sim racer, as the rest of the field streaks away ahead, some of them into the wall, leaving a trail of smoke. So, in terms of pit takers, we're not seeing many at the moment. Everyone just still forming up now behind the pace car. Now, surely everyone still out there would have to come in for one more stop at this stage.
Well, the lights stay on, so we have at least one more lap under caution before we get gridded up for the restart. And I'm with you, Reese. I got to believe that some of these guys are, at the very least, in need of some tires. A few of those guys that narrowly avoided that last incident probably need to stop to change their shorts. But the rest of them at least need tires.
Well, it seems that no one's taken them once again. Abner Acosta faked a pit entry, probably trying to lure in everyone behind him, but he stayed out. The rest of them stay out as well. Do see a couple of takers on pit lane, and they come in the form of Ryan Traver and Charles Sumner, and their trucks seem pretty clean as things stand. So I think routine stop for them to get some fresh rubber onto those trucks and have a nice run at the end. But Patrick Cowgill, he's in contention now for victory versus Matthew Long and Abner Acosta. The cream have risen to the top here at Talladega.
Yeah, we've got some of those drivers we've seen up there all day long, like Matthew Long and James Dewar up there in the mix. And this being Talladega with it's going to be under 10 laps to go once we get restarted. Hopefully not a cautions breed cautions type of situation, but you got to think, as intense as it was before that last caution, the intensity level is definitely going to be stepping up.
Yeah, they're going to be going all out here in the final stint. Do they end up pitting this time? It's a difficult decision when you're up the front, because I mean, these guys are on 17 or 18 lap old tires at this stage, so there's still a bit of life left in them. So I think these guys have locked themselves into staying on these tires to the end. If they end up coming in later on, then that'll potentially bring the likes of Zemke, Sink, and Lane back into the fold.
And of course, this being Talladega, I mean, even beyond that, really anything can happen here in the closing stages. And all we can do is sit back, wait and see, and enjoy the ride.
Exactly, business as usual for us here at GSRC. So it's all going to come down to this restart once again, and this time it is Abner Acosta who's going to control the field, like he did at Phoenix last season, which was my first broadcast with the PRL Truck Series, and very much enjoyed myself. I'm not much of an oval guy, but certainly do like a bit of super speedway racing in my life. Bradley Holly, he's made his way up the field, up 19 positions now, knocking on the door of the top 10. How far will he advance before the checkered flag flies?
Well, Bradley Holly, pretty much the winningest driver in the series, and he's one that's known for playing these super speedway races really smart. So don't be too surprised, Reese, if you see Holly sneak up there and snatch away victory here in these closing laps.
Have to keep an eye on him there. Also need to continue keeping an eye on Doyle Lawrence. Remember, he was talking with his teammates before the previous restart about working their way up to the front. So number 9 and number 31, the numbers to really watch out for. Keep an eye on the 55 as well in the bottom right. The car of James Dewar. He's been in and amongst that fight for the lead for pretty much the whole race up to this point. But Abner Acosta up 27 positions now and will lead the way on this restart. The pace car will come into the pits momentarily. And it seems that the way to do it here at Talladega is to wait until the green flag flies and then go. You don't really want to jump early at a track like this. So what does Abner Acosta do here? How much of a hard time is Matthew Long going to give him starting on the outside? Hanging back just slightly. Looks like Abner Acosta's actually gone a bit early this time, and he gets a bit of a jump on the rest of the field. So as they come round to start lap 47, we have 8 laps to go. 9 laps to go here at Talladega. And look at Matthew Long working that side draft and getting through into the lead. That's the problem there for Abner Acosta. With that jump off the start, he did not have the advantage he needed to keep that lead. And now Josh Conker pushing Matthew Long into the lead. And have a look up the top. That is going to be James Dewar getting pushed by Doyle Lawrence. And they are staking a claim for the very top line as they are 3 wide through turn 3.
Acosta comes to us from a road racing background, and he's picking up on the super speedway discipline pretty well, but you still see moments like that where the normal intuition that he has is to get going, but on these super speedway races, it definitely can come back to bite you. But so far, able to maintain the lead, but not by very much, as Long actually leads that last lap by, and now him and Conker are going to push by out in front. The inside line, though, fighting right back, Reese.
Yeah, fighting back very nicely. They are level as they come out of turn 2. Patrick Cowgill down on the inside as they're 3 wide, a bit further back. Goodness me, this is looking pretty stressful. But Patrick Cowgill concentrating on what needs to be done to work his way up to the front. Still in 8th position as things stand. But have a look at them as they come out of turn 4 and onto the tri-oval. These two groups pushing each other incredibly hard as they come up to the start-finish line. There's a couple of packs behind that could certainly make things difficult for them as, oh my goodness, quite a wiggle from both lines of cars. But Matthew Long leads the way into turn 1. For how long is the question? The very top line is starting to come back. Mark Kalin up there, and joining him, Doyle Lawrence, who's looking for any way he can to work his way up to the top.
And Lawrence is definitely holding back nothing here as he works to that very, very outside, trying to get paired up with Mark Kalin and make a push. But they have a tough road to hoe there in the very, very outside.
That was very close there with James Dewar in the bright blue truck. Nearly got into Kalin up at the top, but they managed to stay stable. It looks like it's just those 2 trucks up there on the top line. It's not really doing much for them at this stage. I think they do well to try and find a space and slot in to the middle line. But with only a few laps to go here, they'll have to commit. Abner Acosta still leading the way here. But Matthew Long will want to try and take this lead back. It seems that high line right up the top is starting to come back. Mark Kalin getting pushed and gaining that little bit of extra momentum he needs.
Well, it looks like they have some other people joining up to that third groove there, as Acosta still holds the point. And once again, Josh Conker with a very aggressive push for the 99.
Yeah, that middle line is making a statement here, saying we are the ones who are going to come home here. Oh dear, bit of lap traffic doesn't exactly help, but Danik Momi jumps out of the way of everyone and down to the apron, and then they continue racing. Oh boy, 5 to go here. Will be 4 when they cross the line. The intensity is starting to build here in the PRL Truck Series. Is there going to be a big one here in the last couple of laps? Will there be a finish line crash, as has been seen many times in super speedway racing in the past? The number 54 trying to work his way through. It's just not working through turns 3 and 4. But when they get onto the straight, look at the run they have. They're going to draw level and be 3 wide across the line. Goodness me, these gaps as Matthew Long gets a massive push and moves ahead of Abner Acosta, but he won't move down to the bottom line just yet. Oh, they come together up the top. That's going to be another caution here right at the end of the race. It looks to me like that was a brief moment of 4 wide action. Josh Conker and Baron Hilton coming together. Hilton, he tried to make it 4 wide, but just made side-by-side contact with Josh Conker. And I think the tyres actually made contact, which sent Conker up into the air. Here's where it happened. You see that jerk, and Josh Conker, nothing he can do from that point. He was a passenger.
Yeah, unfortunate the way that turned out. Conker was having a great race, has been running up front literally the whole race. Unfortunately, he got hung out to dry by the 55 truck that was running behind him, and then it just all kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah, was all on his own, unfortunately. Here's the view from on board, one of the cars behind, and some great incident avoidance here. Managed to keep it out of the wall. Fantastic stuff. So we're only going to have, like a lap to go or something like that when we go to green. So there's potential for green, white, checkered, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's going to be very close. The series does have one green, white, checker attempt that they have enabled, so we may hit that point. We may be able to restart with a lap or 2 on the board still. We'll obviously see how this shakes out from our virtual race director here shortly, as the field's still working on getting lined back up.
One of the casualties from that big crash was Doyle Lawrence. He's unfortunately disconnected from the server, and there will be no more racing for him tonight. Big shame. The number 9 was certainly on the way to making some big moves here right at the end. Well, at this point, Chris, I think taking tyres is completely out of the question. You go into the pits to take fresh rubber now. There's no way you're going to be getting those positions back.
Yeah, I imagine at this point, your position kind of is what it is with what you have left on the truck. It's gonna be make it last and hope for the best.
Well, crucially for Matthew Long, he was just in the lead when the trucks came together to bring out this caution. So he will lead the way. Our pole sitter, see if he can convert that into a race win. As we've seen, the middle line, or the top line when they're too wide, certainly has started to come to the fore here in the latter stages of the race. So it's going to be difficult here for Matthew Long to fend off the advances of Abner Acosta and Patrick Cowgill and the like. This is going to be an interesting finish, and actually, it is the final lap. So the time has actually run out in the server. We might actually get a finish here.
Well, that would be a twist. They do have a 1-hour time limit for their races here. That's a hard limit too. So once they hit it, if they're under caution, that will be the end of the race. So we may be coming to the finish here.
Well then, as lap 54 for Matthew Long, race length set to 55, but of course the timer has run out, so I think this is going to be your finishing order. Matthew Long getting into the lead at a crucial time there. That caution saved him, and it looks like he will be able to convert that pole position into victory in round 2 of the Precision Racing League Truck Series from Talladega Superspeedway. Abner Acosta is going to be very happy with that second place finish in the number 5, getting him back into the points. Joshua Daniels, Patrick Cowgill and Danny Cervantes rounding out the top 5 as things stand. So, just a few more meters to go, and that will be the race result called. Matthew Long can now start his celebrations, the 99 converting pole into victory.
I do believe this is going to be his first victory with the PRL, so a great day to be Matthew Long for sure.
An excellent day to be Matthew Long. The lights out on the pace car signaling that the race has been completed. And my goodness, what an intriguing race for sure. I think that these guys certainly showing their worth here as oval racers. So, with that result set, we're going to step aside very briefly on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll be coming back very shortly with our race results and interviews with our top 3. Well, there you see the victory celebrations for Matthew Long. Pole position, fell back a little bit in the mid-stages of the race and came home for victory. Here are your results from round 2 of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series from Talladega Superspeedway. The 99 of Matthew Long taking victory from Abner Acosta under caution. Joshua Daniels rounds out the top 3. We'll be talking to them in just a moment. Patrick Cowgill and Danny Cervantes round out the top 5. Bradley Holly making his way up to 6th place, making up 24 positions there. Clayton Curry and Jim Westerfield 7th and 8th with Jose Medina, and last round's winner Adam Zemke finishing where he started in 10th.
Clayton Montgomery had a pretty solid run to come home 11th, followed by Miguel Angel Cardozo. Colton Lane was lucky 13th in the field with Thomas Sink right behind him. Josh Cocker in the 54 truck comes home 15th with Tom Massey in 16th, Charles Sumner 17th, Austin Hunter, Patrick Karen, and Richard Thomas completing your top 20.
James Dewar was fighting for the lead throughout the race, but that final crash took him out of contention. He'll have to settle for 21st at the line. Nicholas Hunter and Ryan Traver are the last cars to finish on the lead lap. Then we go to Dalton Gayer, a lap down. Mark Kalin and Doug Evans, 2 laps down. 3 laps down, Barron Hilton and Doyle Lawrence, who again was one of the drivers fighting for victory in the closing stages. Danik Momi 7 laps down with CM Pennington, the first of our drivers to really have a rough run here tonight.
Then closing out the field, João Guerrero, who had that tremendous accident getting stuck on the wall. Adam Shane Eric Hauk, Bill Kruzka, Rob Haynes, and Rob Naylor completing the field.
Well, there we go. Unfortunate for Rob Naylor. He only made it to a bit before half race distance. We're going to have a chat here to our top three. The first driver that we're going to have a chat to is Matt Long, waiting up there in the interview box. Let's bring him in for a chat. Matthew Long in the 99. Congratulations on your victory, Matt. Converting pole into victory, certainly the best way to go about it at Talladega.
Yeah, thank you. That was a wild race. I came in here, my crew chief, Taylor, was actually on, and he's like, hey, on your qualifying lap, go quick on the first lap, and I was unsure if I should do that, and it was the right call. So that got me started well, and then Conker pushing me all through that first stint, staying up front, staying out of trouble was good, and we kind of got shuffled back a little bit there with a couple of those restarts, and we were able to stay hooked up, me and Conker, and get back up there, and then kind of at the end it was crazy. I actually didn't know the race was ending, and I must have beat Abner by an inch when that caution flew out. So we'll take it. It's a good day.
Yeah, it was very fortunate for you when the caution came out when it did. But I noticed throughout the race that it seemed to be, the bottom line was where you needed to be at the start of the race. But as time went on, the top line started to come back into it. What were your views on that, and how did you navigate that?
Yeah, I didn't get behind too many trucks during the day, from a pushing perspective, but it really, a lot of it came down to who could push the best in the line and really stay formed up there. Whether that was the top line or the middle line or bottom line, I think it really just came down to who was working together the best. And I want to thank Josh Daniels as well. When I kind of got shuffled into the middle 3 wide there, he came up and pushed me, and he was ultimately the one that helped me get in front of Abner.
Well, your victory is yours here at Talladega, and we go to a decidedly different track next week, Charlotte Motor Speedway. What's your history there, and how do you see yourself standing?
Yeah, I think it's the Roval, which I'm really pumped for. I'm a big fan of the road courses, and the big driver skill part of that, and I think it's a lot of fun. Even if it's the oval, Charlotte's a classic track. It should be a lot of fun, especially with these trucks. So, looking forward to it. Looking to keep running up front and hopefully nab another win.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get another chance to speak to you next week. Before we let you go, Matthew, anyone you'd like to thank? Any shout-outs or sponsors?
Yeah, I definitely want to thank PRL, Charles Sumner, for all the organization with you guys putting on the broadcast. I want to thank my teammate Taylor Stout, who was crew chiefing for me there, spotting for me a little bit. And really James Bird Racing, Pebble Isle Marina for being on the car.
Well, that's Matthew Long there, your race winner here at Talladega Super Speedway. The next driver interview, going to be second place, Abner Acosta, stood by with Chris Phoebe.
Well, Abner, another pretty solid run for you today. You got pretty close there on our last green flag lap, but really a great charge from the back to the front. Tell us about your race.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, it was a good race overall. I actually missed quali. I don't know. I guess I fell asleep on it. I tried to make it and didn't have enough time, so I had to start from the back. My teammate Josh was in the front, so I kind of had to do it by myself to get up there, which was pretty rough and dangerous. Then eventually got there, and I was able to get to the front, being pushed by Patrick, which helped a lot, and almost had it at the end. I feel like if we would have had a little bit more time with that restart at the end, me being on the outside, it would have been perfect. But unfortunately, we ran out of time. But I'll take a second place any day, so that's good.
Now, you're one of our drivers that are in the playoffs, so a second place run is pretty helpful to your championship hopes. Do you still have your eyes on that season or year-long championship as we go to our next round?
Yeah, for sure. I haven't won a season yet, so to win the overall one will be the time to do it for sure. So yeah, we're working on that. And fortunately, I think Josh is out of it with the race today. So, But yeah, it's there's got to take it race by race. Anything can happen, just like today with crashes and things like that. But hoping to be there for the last one and take it.
All right, Abner. Anybody you'd like to thank that helped make today possible for you?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody at Private Label Team Hype, sponsors Ethica, Neonism, Tomahawk, and thank everybody for spotting Ty Stover and Josh for helping out, and Matt Long also for helping out a little bit during the race, and you guys for broadcasting, and PRL for thank you.
All right, that's our runner-up finisher today, Abner Acosta. Back to you, Reese.
Yes, indeed. And we do have one more driver interview on the way here, the number 77 of Joshua Daniels. And he will jump into the box with us now. G'day, Joshua. It's a sixth place start for you and a podium finish. So reckon it's a pretty profitable night for you.
Yeah, I guess I'll take a third. I really wanted those last couple laps. And I wanted long to drop down out of that top lane there. I would have won that one, but that third's all right.
Yeah, the way the lanes were working was quite the way things went tonight. What was your view on how the track evolved over the course of the night?
Everybody, all the teams working together was the biggest thing that caught me off guard. I raced open rooms all week, and you're in there with a bunch of people that don't know each other. But tonight it was kind of extra hard because everybody wanted to work together, and it just seemed I got stuck on the third line one time, and sometimes it seemed like it would work, but it just I just didn't think it was going to the front. That's why I tried to stay in the middle lane. So, the middle lane was a place to be tonight, I believe.
And in terms of tires, obviously the main strategy call with these trucks, it seemed that after that initial first pit stop that everyone took at the front of the field, deciding to stay out. And I think that was just a case of, just trying to preserve your position to the end, because the later you pitted, there would be less time to come back.
Yeah, I was wondering, I had asked those guys that they pit, and they had told me that when the caution come out, them guys had already pitted. That was the reason they stayed up there. But I didn't know if I needed to take tires or not. I didn't test that strategy, but I went ahead and took them. I thought I was going to lose a few spots, but I think I gained a spot when I took tires. So I'm guessing everybody else took tires as well.
So to the season ahead for you, third place finish obviously here at Talladega. Are there going to be more podiums coming for you in the future?
I sure hope it is. I thought I was going to get one last week, but I ended up, flipping upside down probably 15 times down the backstretch. But yeah, I see a lot more of these in my future.
Yes, well, you did cross the line on all four wheels. That is the main thing. Josh, is there anyone that you'd like to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to thank my teammate Durr and my wife Francie for supporting me through all this. And I'd like to thank GSRC and the PRL for putting on an outstanding show.
Sorry for talking over you there, Josh. That's Joshua Daniels, your third place finisher here in the PRL NASCAR Truck League. And I think that will bring to an end the proceedings for tonight. Chris, what a great race here at Talladega. Certainly looking forward to Charlotte next week.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be a great show. These guys put on a tremendous show at Charlotte, and I think we'll back up another good one next Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll be able to catch us same time next week. But before we go, let's give another thanks to the supporters of this series. Of course, we have to go to Advanced SimRacing. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it for free now at racelab.app. Also presented by the ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. Also, big thanks once again to SIMMSA. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit ninjatrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. From all of us here at Global Sim Racing Channel, we have to give our thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde at the bottom of the screen, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp page listed there for more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Chris, Gary, and Dougie. You can find more info about Global Sim Racing Channel at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed on the screen. Also, please check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC, like these upcoming races you see listed on the screen. Next race for PRL trucks is, of course, Charlotte, October the 6th at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And make sure to check out these other upcoming races here on the screen and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, we say race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
Yeah.